Hello, world. Welcome to the 215th climate change emergency protest here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm at an undisclosed location because I don't want to get out too much that this tree behind me is somewhere around 300 years old. It's an oak tree. It's gigantic. And its sister tree behind me to the right, it's probably pushing 200 years old as well, if not more. I suppose it's 300. That's what I was told it was. It's one of the oldest trees in Adams County, Pennsylvania. So this is number 215, Climate Change Emergency Protest. This is January 19th. It's Thursday evening, so I'm trying to get this in before the sun sets too much. I have something to do tomorrow, the 20th, which is a Friday. Number 216 is January 27th. That'll be next week. So right now in Davos, Switzerland, the World Economic Forum is going on. The chief CEOs of the world's businesses, the big wigs, politicians, academia people, and most importantly, the oil companies are there right now. So it makes no sense as to, well, it does from an economic point of view because that's all they care about. But right now, I'm making sure it's in focus. But right now, that's where everything is about economy and everything and making money, capitalism, and this is unsustainable. And Antonio Guterres was at the Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland, and he's the United Nations Secretary General, and he said the business model is incompatible with human survival. Now he's saying this at the conference, saying this in front of these guys. So it's like we're flirting with climate disaster. Everywhere a new climate horror story unravels. I mean, it's just every week you're seeing something going on every week. So emissions, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and as well as water vapor, the more the temperature in the atmosphere keeps warming up, the more water vapor in the atmosphere, and that's actually the biggest greenhouse gas there is. But it's brought on by carbon dioxide, which leads to more nitrous oxide, which leads to more methane going into the atmosphere. So it's results in more heating. So Guterres said that the 1.5 degree guardrail that that everyone's shooting for, supposedly with the Paris 2015 agreement, which is BS. Everyone knew right away it wasn't going to get hit, and the governments had no intention of doing anything about it. It's not mandatory cutting emissions. It's kind of like you can if you want. It's okay if you do it. Well, you don't have to really. Well, please do. So 1.5 degrees Celsius increase since 1880 baseline was the goal. That's out the window. He's saying it's going up in smoke. He's now predicting a 2.8 degrees Celsius increase in temperatures since 1880. Well, that's devastating. We will not survive that at all. As soon as it gets over 1.5, as we're seeing now, it's at 1.3, and we're seeing these all weekly disasters happening around the world and devastating. People are dying. Houses are being lost, people being flooded out, people being drowned out, you name it, it's happening everywhere, everything all at once. So it's devastating. He's saying this increase is going to be with devastating consequences. Well, you think? It doesn't take a brainologist to figure this one out, unless you're unaware of the news, which is most Americans, because they keep watching the corporate news, the three big ones, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox Television, and they don't have a clue as to why this is happening or what's causing it. They know it's happening somewhat, that not everything's being reported, but they're not being told why it's happening. And they know all about COVID. They all know about football players having heart attacks, but they don't know about the 22 people that died in California. They don't know about the 8 people that died last week in tornadoes in the Deep South in January with tornadoes. So these are the kind of things that aren't being reported, and then why it's happening. Climate change is the basis behind it all. So right now, the USA experienced extreme drought last year, and they're still in it. If you look at the Midwest USA Drought Monitor, the West has been sort of brought out of the drought with all this rain. The Midwest, the drought still persists, and now a new drought is starting up northern Florida, up the east coast of the United States, up to South Carolina and all. Drought begets drought, rain begets rain, snow begets snow. So if you got drought, chances are you're going to get more drought. So last year you had farmers selling off their cattle herds, because they couldn't afford to feed them. There was no grass to eat. There was the hay they're feeding them was exorbitant prices. So they've sold off their entire herds. So what that's going to result in is a beef shortage. Yet also the floods in California that's just happened and is still happening. And the media is not reporting about the crop issue. California is a huge supplier of vegetables throughout the world and food in general. You have an egg shortage going on in the United States right now and probably around the world because you're having an avian flu, which is brought on by wild birds as well as domestic flocks. So they're having to slaughter all these flocks of chickens, and you're ending up with an egg shortage. My guess is you're going to have a poultry shortage as well. So you're going to have a beef shortage, a poultry shortage. Good luck getting food because the prices are going to go way up in 2023. You got a food crisis developing. They said the beef crisis won't end until 2025 at least, if not 2026, because it takes a few years to get the cattle going again. You know, you just can't have cattle appear out of nowhere. The mothers have to have babies, the babies have to grow, then they have to have more babies so that it grows, because if you slaughter them as calves, then again, you're back to zero. There's going to be a vegetable oil shortage. Ukraine supplies 70% of the world's vegetable oil through sunflowers, and if you don't have that, then those prices go up. Rice shortage, California due to the drought and now due to the flooding. You also have Pakistan. A third of Pakistan was underwater and continues to be, which is not being reported because why? That is racism. We're not reporting such things in the media. They are brown people. We don't care. We're not reporting about the Horn of Africa. People dying by thousands. You know, I read something that said one person's dying every 39 seconds due to starvation. Hey, wonder why. You know, we're reporting about Ukraine incessantly and the war there, but not about anyone of any color throughout the rest of the world, the global south or developing nations, South America, things like that. Indonesia, everything everywhere all at once. Australia is being flooded right now. The climate is changing in a ridiculous way, and I can't tell you what's going to happen next. All I know is bad things are going to happen because El Nino's coming, and even in a neutral state, bad things are going to happen. It's going to start venting off heat from the oceans, and the oceans are the warmest they've ever been. Say the rice crop's in jeopardy, the vegetable crops. 70% of all vegetables come from California. So that's something to think about. You know, when you go to the grocery store, you might want to start stocking up if you can, especially in canned goods. Citrus crops due to Hurricane Ian, the orange crop and everything like that is down 32%. And California flowers. If you like flowers, they come from California most likely, and they won't be available. You have to get them from somewhere else around the world, and again, your prices go up. So the dogmatic protection by the population of the world are these political parties, and this is all around the world. It's not just the United States, but especially here in the United States, people are lashed to their political parties. They think their parties do no wrong, and all the parties throughout the whole world are doing wrong because they're not tackling the issue of climate change. Even the Green Party is in charge in Germany, I think, and now they're authorizing more coal mines and things like that, arresting the protesters, the people that are trying to protect the world from dying, and they're arresting those people and protecting the corporations that are killing the people around the world and will kill the people around the world. Because when this coal mine is done and depleted, if it ever is, the effects of it continue on for hundreds of years, okay? There's a professor in Pennsylvania here that says, oh, as soon as you stop CO2, everything will dramatically go back down. That is an absolute lie. I would never have my child ever take a class from him. Absolute lie. Once the CO2 is in the atmosphere, it can stay up to tens, hundreds, or thousands of years in the atmosphere. There is no immediate reduction unless you start planting forests and have some sort of carbon sequester plan to pull things out of the atmosphere, either through marshes or whatever, some natural means. This idea of just willy-nilly stopping production of CO2 in the atmosphere, which won't happen anyway, it's pie in the sky. It's an absolute lie that carbon dioxide will dramatically start reducing and the world's temperatures will start going down. Absolute stupidity. If he's not lying, he's just plain stupid. So the USA would rather have their grandkids and children and witness loved ones die by suffering due to climate change rather than actually take on their political parties. The people are actually loving their political parties more than they love their own children and grandchildren. Oh, Jim, how can you say that I don't love my grandchildren and children? Well, you know, the fact is if you keep voting the same, getting the same, and all these things keep happening around the world, you actually do love your political party more than your kids and your grandkids, or you're well and uninformed. So if you're uninformed, please go down my page, my Facebook page. I've got article after article for a dozen years now in there. I've got video, I've got news articles. Please get yourself informed as to what's actually happening in the world. And these are reputable companies that are reporting this, not some sort of willy-nilly conspiracy theory. This is actually what's happening around the world right now. It's called science. Deal with it. So until the people in the world are ready and demand change from their political parties, you're going to see the corporations of the world continue to murder the population. And this is with collusion of the governments. The fossil fuel companies are intent on killing us all. They might not say they are, but their actions indicate that the path they're on, they're going to kill us all. So this will not end well. It's the way it is. We're headed towards path of extinction. We need to get off this path, somehow get onto a connector path that gets us to a path back to where we need to go. Right now, carbon dioxide is 420 parts per million in the atmosphere. Only 280 parts per million is safe. That was in the year 1750, where things didn't change quickly. But the way to start is to start reducing carbon dioxide. But in addition to that, we need to be able to sequester the carbon dioxide. So this 2023, as I said before, is the year of reckoning. This is the year things are going to start happening excessively badly, to the extent that we're going to be like, what the hell is going on? The whole world's unraveling weekly. And this is what Guterres said. And things are going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not going to get better. And I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. I don't have my head up by thinking things are going to end up hunky-dory. They're not until things change politically and within your own thought process, and quit voting for the same parties unless you force them to change their positions immediately. Okay, tell them you're not going to vote for them. Call them up. Tell them I'm not going to vote for your party anymore. And I don't care if your party loses, whoever you vote for. Don't vote for any party. Vote for individuals somewhere. So get away from your party if they're not going to change. Say, I'm done. And the people of the world and the United States of darker skin color need to stop voting for certain colors and for parties. And people with driving their pickup trucks need to realize they're going to kill their own kids that are just spewing this stuff in the atmosphere. We got people around here in the United States called coal rollers, and they enjoy shooting diesel fuel, a black cloud of smoke like an octopus, into the air, and they think it's cool. I see a bunch of idiots and murderers. So 2023 is the year of reckoning. 2024-25 will be the shakedown. Food shortages, government unrest. You're going to start seeing people in the street, all sorts of bad things happening. And 2026 is the quake, I call it. That's when the shortened lives of our children, due to our childish failure to accept and recognize the signs that are going on right now this year. Okay, so 2026 will be the quake. This will shake us all to our foundations. You, me, everybody, regardless if you participated in this calamity or not. We're all culpable in this. Some people are more culpable than others, and all the oil companies and fossil fuel companies are deadly set against us as far as survival. So everything's happening everywhere all at once. So I'll catch you next week. That'll be number 216. I wish I was more uplifting, but things can't change until you change, until I change, until everybody changes. And this is not some skippity-doo thing. You got to get to it and start doing it right now, today. Start having conversations. Call up your political parties saying either you change or I change parties or I don't get in any party. Go to your courthouse, change parties, get out of your party, vote independent for now, or at least register as independent. Whether you're Republican or Democrat in this country, register as independent. Then your parties know you're serious. I'll see you later. All right, bye. 300 years old. Hope it's here next year.